You're still tuned into Africa's biggest and brightest, constantly informing you and giving you the latest news on the continent. Now in studio with me, I have Kelvin Onuoka, and he's here all the way from Kenna Consulting. So he's here to give us a little bit of information on what we would like to call the investment climate in Africa. So this guy knows all there is to know about your questions out there. Kelvin, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
You're more than welcome. Thank you very much for coming through. So before we get started, we want to find out from you real quick about your organization, Kenna Consulting. Who are you guys and what do you do?
Thank you very much. Kenna Consulting is a frontline consulting partner to a host of emerging African countries. And we provide market entry services for businesses that are getting into different parts of Africa. Mm-hmm. And our services include, not limited to your trans-border transactional services.
Okay.
Business identification of opportunities, you're talking about your market research, due diligence, business establishments, deal advisory,
okay.
and just to name a few, yeah.
Well, you have a very big portfolio there. So you guys are definitely the people to talk to if one would like to break ground into Africa.
Absolutely. We have over the years facilitated a number of cross-border transactions between one African country and another. Example, South Africa to West Africa.
So you guys go long distance, huh?
Well, we cross borders. I would say we create bridges across the continent.
Awesome stuff. So we want to talking about creating bridges. Let's move on to what you're here to talk about. You're here mainly to talk to us about this new Mauritius and how they've decided to get clever and how they're sort of the interlinkers between Africa, them, and the rest of the world. Talk to us about why Mauritius is such an ideal place nowadays to be looking at investments and to be looking at dealings and to be looking at partnerships.
I think Mauritius has positioned itself strategically to take advantage of the huge opportunities that are all over Africa by making itself into what I would call an international financial center.
Okay.
Okay, and Mauritius has become almost the gateway for businesses that are getting into Africa because of some of its legislations in terms of tax, in terms of business climate, in terms of business infrastructure, in the banking, telecom, technology. So it's fast becoming a gateway.
Oh.
If not the gateway.
Okay, so now
for businesses going into Africa.
Explain to the layman, or heck to me, okay, who doesn't understand how quite this process works. Here we're looking at a country that used to just be known as a great destination if you want to get married or run away with the person that you love. And now they've converted themselves into this great gateway. How does this work? If a business in China wants to talk to somebody here in Africa, where does Mauritius fit into that?
You see, Mauritius has, over the years, built a very strong economy.
Okay.
It's built its governance structures to become world ranked. Okay. Currently, Mauritius is ranking #1 in the World Bank's ease of doing business survey.
Really?
Yes.
Well, go Mauritius.
And it's number 26 in the world, actually. So yes, Mauritius is become a force to be reckoned with. It's a small island of 1.3 million people, which is, it's something that creates a yardstick for the African countries to follow.
It does.
They've been able to build a very stable economic climate. They've been able to create a very peaceful climate for doing business. In terms of legislation, they have created one of the most robust, investment-friendly economic.
They have a great climate, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. They're very highly investor-friendly.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now let's move back here to the motherland, as people like to call it. Let's focus more on Africa and what the opportunities look like in Africa for Africans and for the rest of the world. Now that the rest of the world has gone everywhere, been everywhere, they're sort of looking to us for new solutions and new ground, right? What does the world look at now in Africa?
I think there's little need to convince anyone that Africa is the last frontier for investments. Africa is a land of opportunity. I would say Africa has been the sleeping giant that is now widely awake and ready to do business.
I like that.
And it's important to note that Africa is, at the moment, got over 60% of the world's underutilized land.
Okay.
Most of it is arable land. Africa has got huge natural resources. And it's Africa's time. I mean, it's been pretty much ignored over the years. It's also been exploited largely because of the fragmentation and isolation of small African countries.
Yes.
But I think the world has come to reckon that Africa is the place to be. And if you're not trading in or with Africa, you're missing
behind.
out. Absolutely.
All right. Now, you know, the rest of the world, Europe and America, sort of look at Africa as one big chain, basically. They don't look at us with the eyes of segregation that we tend to look at ourselves with.
Sure.
But looking at that whole aspect, do you feel that we are adequately equipped within, not even country-wise, within ourselves, to handle the influx of business that we do want? Firstly, have we sorted out our governance issues? And would you say that, you know, our financial sectors and that our economies are strong enough to sustain basically new investment?
I think Africa's, over the past decade, gone through some huge transformation. The economic climate is a bit more stable.
Yeah.
There's political stability. Right now, I mean, we, as much as yes, there's still a number of governance issues, Africa is still very, very attractive for foreign investment. Yes, we do have issues that we need to deal with, you know, when it comes to infrastructure, because yes, there are key pillars that, you know, we still need to invest in, things like energy, things like transport, to facilitate trade, you know, and some of these things end up becoming added costs to doing business.
Very true.
And affects competitiveness of countries dealing in Africa or producing in Africa, for example. You can't compete with China because we do not have the right infrastructure. The cost of doing business just goes up astronomically because you're having to power your own generators. There's no adequate transport infrastructure. So yeah, the cost of doing business in Africa is pretty higher than in other jurisdictions.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of the areas that also the regional blocks at the moment that you have your SADC, you have AU, you have COMESA. So all these, Africa is coming together. You know, it's maybe not happening at the pace that we would like to see, but Africa is definitely on its way up.
Okay, so we're going to be probably one organism very, very soon.
I'm hoping that would happen.
I'm
because,
hoping so
you know,
too.
if you look at a country like the United States, with how many states?
52 states.
52 states. Now, Africa is
59 countries.
So why can't we become like the United States?
It would only make sense. It would so make sense.
Yeah, so yeah, it's something that, you know, we should look towards, but I think it would start to trade. We need to start trading across our borders effectively.
Very true.
Because you find that a lot of African countries are landlocked. Now, if we don't focus less on our borders, we'll be able to trade with one another, and which is why we have been easily exploited, because we are focusing more on trading with the West.
Very true. And
that's why a lot of the resources that are found in Africa are not actually optimized in Africa, because they are taken out of Africa as raw materials, and they bring back finished products.
Okay, I have a very quick question for you before we wind up. It would make sense to me, okay, that if I want to get somewhere, someone should build a road for me to get
Sure.
there. But talk to me about the importance of actually doing things that are that simple. You said we're landlocked. What bigger difference would it make if there was a proper road or a proper bridge leading from South Africa to Angola or from South Africa to somewhere else? What sort of differences does that make for the two countries that are going to do business with each other? Something that small. How big a difference can it make?
It will make a world of difference.
Okay.
It will make such big difference in creating jobs, in creating regional integration.
Okay.
It will make doing business a lot easier without administrative bottlenecks. So yeah, I mean, opening up the borders is the way to go. It might not happen, but Africa needs to recognize that if one country in Africa is prospering,
yes,
and the other countries around it are not, at the end of the day, you're going to be like the big brother.
Yeah, you
who
will
is the
definitely
only
have a
successful
problem.
one in the family, and everyone else is
taking
from you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, your potential is not fully
Very
realized.
true. And it does slow down your development. You're very
Absolutely.
right. Kelvin, it's been awesome talking to you. In fact, I'm sure we have a gazillion and one questions to continue asking you. I can't believe we are out of time. Kelvin, if people would like to find out more about Kenna Consulting, would like to pick your brain, get you to where they are, what's the best way to do that?
The best way to contact us will be to go to our website. It's www.kennaconsulting.co.za.
Kenna double N-A, right?
Kenna is spelled Kenna Consulting.co.za.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
It's been a pleasure chatting to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Opened up so many doors in our heads.
I hope so.
No, now we won't just look at Mauritius as a holiday destination now.
Absolutely
not. It's a place to make great money, hey.
I think it's a good platform it becomes your springboard to launch into Africa.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Kelvin.
You're welcome.
If you'd like to speak to Kelvin through us, remember that the email address is gma@planetimage.co.za. And Kelvin is the purveyor of good news. Check this out. You can now go on holiday to check on your money. And even better, to see just what your country can be doing to be making more money for the continent. Now, if you also believe that maybe we should start eliminating our borders and be building bigger roads, join in our conversations on Twitter and on Facebook and let us know what you thought of the segment. We'll make sure that we give you the handles before the show is over. On that note, we hand you back over to our amazing hosts so they can tell you what's up for the rest of the show.